about that the CAS missed on this cycle that I know
Yeah,
they did, at
yeah.
least in one of my first cycles, is that they had people when they after they did all the nominations, everybody who had a nominated character wrote like a small paragraph about what their design principle or whatever was behind their
Oh,
character. Yeah, and I think that would have helped a lot because I think that's where a lot of like the issues are coming from too. The players when they go to playtest, they can at least read that and in their mind go, okay, I know what his design principle was. How do I feel that matched up with that image that he had for it? Not does this character play the way that I think this character should play? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
there's a world of difference between the two.
I know some create. I mean, obviously, this is like a very few creators, but they'll include an insert that like is like an introduction to their hero set.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that would help a lot
that
with the
takes extra
cast.
time to do that there, but for the
Hmm.
cast, they can easily have it posted where
On the
everybody can just
Discord.
read through it.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
yeah.
I only thought about it recently, but that's something even when I used to play test a lot, I learned the best thing to do first was to say to them like, "Hey, what was your design for this character?" Because a lot of times it was a character I may not even know, and I'd be like, "Just tell
Yeah.
me who this character is in a very short, like 2 or 3 sentences, and then in another 2 or 3 sentences, kind of describe what you were trying to achieve with this. Like,
Hmm.
what is your vision for this character? How should they play?" Or anyway, yeah. So like because that way too, then as a play tester, then I would ask that sometimes after I play tested it the first time, but I would hold out, reserve all my ideas until after and then play it, try to like see where they were, if they were pulling off what they were trying to, and then try to help them get from point A to point B with some suggestions and stuff based on what I played, as opposed to, yeah, like, okay, this is, Raphael, this is who I think Raphael is. I'm going to play him. And then I'm going to tell you that I don't feel he felt like Raphael because this is how I think Raphael should feel, right? It's like nobody asked you how you would want to design this hero.
Hmm.
These are things that people have submitted that like other people have submitted because of X, Y, and Z. Like, yes, is it good enough? Not how should it be designed, I guess.
By the way,
So
I'm still recording. Do you want me to add all that into the video
oh,
too?
are you really still recording? I
Yeah.
thought you turned off all the recording.
I turned it
Oh.
off and I turned it back on because you started talking again.
You
Yeah.
could keep it if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I might as
Like,
well add it in, right?
yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, just be careful that I don't sound too high on a
No, I
soapbox
mean,
there because
it's
I'm
like,
not trying to. I'm
yeah.
trying to just grasp that people. I did a ton of play testing. I did a ton. I
Oh, yeah.
play tested almost exclusively for the first 2 years and a bit. I made He-Man and he was okay, but he wasn't as good as he is now. And I went to make Shira, and she was such a hot mess that I never even got past like an actual beta. And then I just play tested mostly design hacker stuff, but I play tested lots of other stuff. But
Mm.
I worked in coordination with him lots, and like he never made me feel like I approached him in a disrespectful way, but I was also super sensitive about it because what I tell him like I think you made this character's ability not work properly or things like that, right? And but I had
Yeah.
lots of fun with him because he really was. He's quite good at coming up with really good mechanics and producing stuff really fast. And so that's why I ended up doing so much of his stuff. But actually, characters like the Kate Bishop, I did. I was involved with original playtest and feedback from that, and signed off on it. The first time I played it, I was like, gave him back notes, basically saying no notes, right? Like, you
Mm.
got this because he does. That character is spot on. Yeah, I think she's very, very well designed.
By the way, Kate Bishop by CPT Scorp, specifically,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes, that's who I'm, yeah, rambling about. But yeah, no, but I also knew what he was trying to design for that character, right? And his in that one, it seemed more obvious than a lot of characters, but yeah. I think that I haven't seen a whole lot of that from other people when they provide playtesting feedback. There hasn't been a lot of like, and I'm not just talking about the cast because the cast it wasn't really designed for it, but like this kind of thought ahead where it's like, before I provide you feedback with this,
Hmm.
I'm going to ask you why you made it this way. And if
Yeah.
they can't answer that, then that in all reality, then it is just poorly designed. That it's just
It's
like they just threw everything at it.
yeah, I agree that should be included in the cast because that really helps let know the playtesters like what's going on in the hero set and the intentions and whatnot, and also help like you said, characters. If we don't know the character, like then getting
Or
a
maybe
little
you know a
yeah
version that other people
yeah
don't
yeah
know.
yeah yeah like
Like with the
Leonardo.
turtles, and I don't try to play that card too heavy, but like if you really want to, the definitive characters here, I tried to get the like an idea of them as well rounded as I could from many different variations of them. But like there are so many unique things about certain variations of them that just I can't do. I can't make, Raphael look like one of the most recent Raphael versions because he's like a big snapping turtle that's way bigger than the rest of them and stuff like that, right? Like if that's
Yeah.
your version of the turtles that you love, like cool, but sorry, I can't represent that in this. But as best as I could, I tried to make them all kind of be like, but that's even the same with this stuff, right? Like the idea of Krang is relatively specific to TV shows and arcade games. Like who he is in the comic books is very different than the Krang
Oh really?
that's here. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a very different character in the multiple different versions of comic books.
I do have so I have a custom Spider-Man, but it is very specifically not Peter Parker. Is I wrote a little intro text on the
Yeah,
homebrew
yeah,
Discord to let players know that hey, this is a civilian, like not superpowered, wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider,
yeah,
has no
yeah.
training,
I
and
know
so
which one you're talking
yeah,
about. I saw it.
so people know going in that okay, he's not supposed to be overpowered, and when they playtest it and they see what power level it is, it's not like overpowered or they know like what the character is as like how they're supposed to play.
Yeah,
I guess yeah
yeah, and as I recall, like that exactly. You don't have a lot of strong abilities in it, and you have to rely a lot more on your allies and stuff who are the actual heroes,
yeah
right?
yep.
Yeah, and I think that that makes sense. And then yeah, if somebody went in and they just slapped together like a regular Spider-Man type deck with that, it wouldn't work at all
Yeah like
because
three cost
it
for eight
needs
damage doesn't work
yeah,
with that
no.
hero. Yeah.
Well, three cost like an E4 for 8 damage is is a bit overpowered, to be honest. Like people say
Mm,
that's the gold standard. I would not say so. I'd say if you're aiming for that to be like the standard of your cost effect ratio from your cards, you're expecting too much and you're going to
mm,
always err on the side of being overpowered. You can do it. You can do a three cost like an E4 for 8 damage, but you got to have some tight reins on it. You can't just make like that a standard just
yeah.
like it is in Spider-Man where he has
Because
three of them, right?
like more recent heroes, like if you look at Rogue, right, 3 for 6 damage, but then you have some additional kickers, that works because
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Because you had to work for it, and that's kind
Yep.
of like yeah, and like that's the same with the singularity on Donnie. Is for one, there's only one of them.
Mm,
There's a
one
really
copy.
good reason why there's only one of them in his
Hmm.
deck, right? Besides the clear pun of a singularity
Oh,
only
I didn't
having
even realize
one.
that. That makes sense. That makes so much sense.
His quote is even like a cheesy. It says, I see change on the horizon, as in the event horizon. A-
Uh,
Anyway, yeah, which is a singularity thing too. It's a black hole, right? Anyway, it's all cheesy dad jokes. But no, it costs 4, so it would be normally your whole hand. Yes, it does 10 damage, but usually you're not willing to give up your whole hand just to do one thing anyway. And if you want to utilize the gauntlet, you pretty much have to set it up with another card or have lots of card draw and get it lucky with it, right? Like, but when you do it, like, yeah, you do a lot, but it costs a lot. So, like, what? That's E5 or E6 if you discard the card with the other one to do 13 damage, which is about the same as when you do E4 for 8 damage. But there's only one card, one of them in the deck, right?
mhm.
So like there's lots of design space for stuff like that. I do realize my Leonardo one his 3 cost for 7 damage is too high. It is going down to a 5 damage for that one.
Yeah, thank you for your thoughts. I want to pull up the Shinobi cards here just to tell you like what my journey has been. I didn't go explore each like every Shinobi all at once. I went like one Shinobi at a time, one color at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the better way to do it, is use
Yeah.
the 4 standard paths.
When I started exploring this, it was only these 5.
Yeah.
The dual stuff wasn't in yet. And
Oh,
the
okay.
one that gravitated towards me the most was definitely Kagemusha, just because cloaked. At the
Yeah.
time, it was only cloaked. Days wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
Cloaked Dazed was an afterthought that I made literally in 1 day,
Yeah.
from prototype to, like, finished, and it makes sense, and I've enjoyed
Mm.
playing with it, but it was not nearly as a main design component
I
as
mean, it
Dazed
is
was.
just an opposite cloaked.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it works.
exactly.
Yeah.
But Cloaked was like Cloaked took a long time, like, to
Yeah.
find out, because I knew that I wanted it to be an integral part of how I was gonna do these turtles and everything to do with the sets, but I lots of different ideas people had for what a cloak could be and how it would work and that sort of thing took quite a while. Like, just the concept of what it would do, I wasn't sure about. Like, was it just gonna be that you could prevent all damage? Well, how is that different than a tough? And how am I gonna use this to, like, interact with other effects to make it feel like something meaningful is happening with it, you know what I mean? And I'm really happy and proud of where it landed. The Like I said, Dazed, it was just an inverse version, and I'm like, well, I guess actually there is some game space for it, and I mixed in a few Dazed effects into the Taijutsu thing, but
Yeah. And it
that was
works.
kind of, yeah, yeah, I like it, but it's not nearly, and I like it in the encounters, to be honest. I like it because even when you put it on a villain, it's not quite as good as stunned, it's not quite as good as confused, but it helps, right? Or it can just be used to amplify damage, right? And when it's done against you, it's kind of like it hinders you, but not in the same way that stun or confuse can really, like, just destroy your turn.
Was the day's color scheme being like similar to Taijutsu? Was that a coincidence?
It was purely based on colors that were available, and I was picking it out in my head. And because there was already the magenta used for intensified,
Mm.
um, and this whatever I did here with cloaked, I just I was trying to think of color combinations, and I threw a few color combinations up and was like, "Yep, this one works and it's different enough, even though it is not completely off from
Tough.
what's it called, tough, but
Mm.
it is different." Like, when I looked at it, I'm like, "Yeah, it feels like it's different enough." Like I said, I designed this, and even the logo and everything, I did it in a couple hours on 1 day. Whereas the cloaked one, to come up with the logo, let alone the mechanic and everything, this took me like month and a half of, like, dedication of trying to make it look nice and figure out exactly what was a balanced and what was the weight of this card, you know what I mean? And it took me over a year to really define the weight of either of these cards mathematically, like how to, like, balance them within the sets and everything. But that's why Dazed was so quick, is because by then I had everything figured out for
Hmm.
Cloaked, and I'm like, I know how to weight the card, I know how to do all of it. I just make it and throw it in. But
Yeah.
no, it was not to make it match Taijutsu. It
Yeah.
just
But
happened
it
to work
happens
well
to
with it.
really work well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's also why I liked throwing it in there. Is I'm like, yeah, the idea of you dazing your opponent is kind of logical if you're throwing a bunch of punches and kicks at him.
After ninjutsu, I just went like clockwise.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to go clockwise. I just ended up gravitating towards Taijutsu next, and then Bushido,
yeah,
and then Kuji-Kiri. And me playing Donatello Kuji-Kiri, that was, yeah, I think
yeah,
that was the first time. So
yeah.
that's why I threw like so many Kuji-Kiri cards into that Don deck.
Well, all of the stuff, like you were saying, it can be tough to decide because there's 10 per, and then I made these 12
Yep.
hybrid ones. Now the number of options you have just
Mhm.
when you're using the straight paths is pretty high, your card pool. And then you get into these ones, and your card pool is so big for how much you can pull and what sort of combinations you can make here. It's very easy to get pulled in multiple directions, right? Like, if you'd want to do Kuji-Kiri, there's like a few different types of Kuji-Kiri builds you could do. You could do an ally leadership type one that works well with it.
Mm-hmm.
And since you have access to mixed stick cards often, at least when you do on Miyoto, right? Like then you have summoning spell, right? Which works amazing with all of this stuff. But yeah, this one's just like the most obviously powerful one and easy one to do and doesn't require as many combos because it is more chaotic. Like you just got to decide what sort of risk reward you were willing to do with that. These guys, I consider these to all require notably amount more skill
Mm-hmm.
to maneuver and figure out like how to put the pieces together for your ninjutsu one, right? Especially if you don't play Kagemusha and you don't have that free cloaked each turn. If you're playing ninjutsu cards, you really got to think how you're going to build your deck. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll just put 3 scale the walls in my deck because they're so good. Well, sure, but you better make sure that you have consistent cloaks. Otherwise, you're going to have that in your hand and it's going to be a dead
Mm-hmm.
card. So there's just a lot more thought that goes into how you build these decks. What'd you do for Bushido?
I'm gonna have to look up who I played it with because I don't remember. But Taijutsu, I remember I played it with Nightcrawler. And
Nightcrawler.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
which
Well,
is interesting with the hand size.
yeah. Well, um did you kind of look at like where I might have gotten inspiration for design? Like the for this one, the core first idea was just Gamora, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
Gamora.
I
That makes
even
sense.
that's where counter cross instead of cross counter is just a slightly reworked version of her cross counter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, but that was the idea was I was like, oh, what if I made it trigger off of that? And then I was like, well, how do I do something that's supposed to be all kicks and punches and throws and stuff and make it do things like defense and thwart? Like it was easy to do defense and attack, but thwarting to try to thematically bring it out took a bit, but I ultimately landed on if it involved a kick, and it could even be involved with thwarting.
Yeah,
So the
I mean
flying
it
kick, the
works.
double
Yeah,
kick,
that's fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
But then this one, the side swipe isn't even a kick. I even broke the rule there, but that was oh yeah, and the foot sweep. But anyway, yeah, like
yeah,
this one is really if you make a really good deck with it and you don't try to pull it in a bunch of different directions, man, can this cook. But
yeah.
you cannot put much for allies in your deck because allies will
Yep.
slow you down
This is
everything about what you're trying to do.
very event intense.
Yeah, and you need to, but as long as you are in event intense and you like really stick to it in your deck building and you're disciplined in your deck building, like really minimize the ones that aren't. Oh yeah, it can be such a fun ride of just like combo and okay, now I get to return this card to my hand or set up a card for my next turn and then this guy becomes basically like your wild resource in a way,
Yeah, it
right?
is. It really is.
That's like its design space. Although it can even work if you want to. You're like, you know what? I am gonna just defend for that 1 damage and deal 1 damage and remove 1 threat and draw a card because that's really cheap.
Yep. Yeah.
No,
When I was playing when I was making the Jenny deck, I
yeah,
was strapped for deck space, so I looked at all these cards and I went for the most traits, and then I
yeah.
saw counter cross. I was like, yep, that's the one
Well, and that is in
for
a
yeah.
heavy deck. That is a really good one just to pay for to get the
Yep.
kickers, right? So
Yep.
it goes into a lot of mine too, but it's like the funnest one is like a flying kick to get like a flying kick to trigger on 2 thwarts. But then that means like if you think about it, your hand has to have this card and 2 thwart cards in your hand
Yep.
out
Has
of
to line
5
up.
cards, right?
Yep.
Just to have it lined up. But then if you do it and then you draw 2 cards, and of those 2 cards, they are a couple of events that'll trigger off your other events. Like I said, then it feels really satisfying, like you are throwing a bunch of punches and kicks and all the rest of that. And then this one is just like spinning plates of trying to keep your stats
Yep.
high, right?
Very
So
counter
just
intensive.
build raw stats. Yeah. Yeah,
I
and I naturally I love this because it's like having like a little machine in front of you of like
mhm.
so many little counters and I exhaust this and this gets another counter and that one gets another counter and now that this left play, I get to do this.
Yeah. Bushido, I played Samurai with Leonardo. So I played with.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah.
was
That's a natural
yeah,
draw there.
because you get stat boosts from his katanas, and you get more stat boosts.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, he definitely was meant to go well with it too. Like each one of
Yep.
these does fit. This is Michelangelo, and if you know that Michelangelo, spoiler alert, he is the last Ronin.
Hmm.
Well, all of that ninjutsu stuff, and a lot of this actually has Ronin images. A bunch of them are Ronins. Um, and then this one, Donatello was the one that went off the deep end with the magic and stuff in the IDW, so it made sense for him for Kuji-Kiri.
Yep.
Very physical, attack
Raphael, of
oriented and
course.
everything, Raphael, yeah, and
Yep.
then Leonardo, the disciplined, like samurai type guy. Like that's also part of how I broke these into these different elements to like design them was I had originally I didn't want to make them feel they were locked into any of them. Like I wanted
Mm.
all of them to feel like they could play in them. But yeah, like even the imagery, the only one that doesn't line up with this is the Kagemusha one. But that is Leonardo as a samurai,
Yep.
Raphael is the
That's of
Shihan,
course.
and Donatello is the Onmyoto. And then there's Mikey here.
Yep.
It's the last row.
The rest on it. That is the one comic that I've read for TMNT. I
Yeah.
didn't read all of it, but I read enough to know that it's Mikey.
Yeah, they do reveal it fairly quick on.
Yep.
But yeah, any rate. No, like I said, I enjoyed making this and breaking this apart and then making it through this. And I do recommend anybody who's interested in it, the first thing they do is, yeah, try to, if it interests you, don't jump into the deep end too quick. Start with the, because that's even what I put into the instruction booklet too.
Yeah. The
Start with the 4
backside.
standard paths. Do these guys, because these guys will all make it easier for you to make sense of how these things work. And then when you look at these, then you'll be like, oh yeah, I could do combos here and here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't even say you have to put any of these in your deck either when you're first doing your first few decks, but if you want to, it's not a problem. But all of them, yes, they do have hybrid and they have some benefits from them, but they are all ones I would say as a whole, they are not default, like, I'm just going to throw this into all my decks. Like, you could say that with Yomi, I guess. Yeah, Yomi is kind of like, it's not a big play. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yay,
Mm-hmm.
you slow down the milling of the encounter deck a bit, which you tend to in Kuji-Kiri do more of.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that'll do. Oh,
I was,
let's talk about the heroes real quick, because just talking about like the
oh,
heroes I've
okay.
played. So the main four, of course.
Yeah.
I did play Ronin, which I did enjoy. I'm trying to remember what he was. Like what he had, a bunch of weapons. That's right. He had a bunch of weapons,
Yeah. Tons of weapons. That's all he
which
is.
makes sense.
And if once you've played these four,
You
when you go
understand
to
like
play him,
each weapon that he has.
well, yeah, he plays very it is not subtle in
Hmm.
the way that he feels like playing all four of these guys in a way, right? Like he's utilizing the abilities of all four of them.
So I've played these six. Night Watcher, KC, which I recorded. I've played alongside someone who played, I think it was either Venus or Lita. I
Both of
don't
these
fully
guys.
remember.
Venus is like a Ninja Turtle Iron Man. She's a ton of fun.
Okay.
I highly recommend her. Lita is a whole different ball game. She's very different design, mechanic, and everything. So you have to be willing to wrap your head around that. Night Watcher does feel a bit alien in the way he works, but not too crazy. Slash is about to get an overhaul, like in the next few days
Oh,
here.
okay.
So I just did an overhaul of Mondo
Yeah,
Gecko,
I saw
and
that
now I
one.
need to do Slash, and then Leatherhead probably is next. But yeah, Slash needs some work. Slash is supposed to feel like Hulk, Hulk and Wolverine at the same time, and where it was
Mm,
kind of like this rage thing where he'd become enraged and then get stuck in that. But the more I played him, the more I realized that I feel like I've taken away too much agency from the players, which was the same issue I had with Mondo. So I'm redesigning with the same kind of concept as Mondo, where gameplay was very restrictive and it just made him feel disjointed, and I just liberated a lot of like his gameplay feel. And I'm just going to do that with this one too, where you get just to decide if you want to enter your super enraged state or stay more clear-headed, and then just build it off of that instead of, yeah, like this, I can't control whether or not I get enraged or whatever.
Is that like Angel, like with 3 forms?
Yeah, yeah, he'd feel, but yeah, kind of like that. Not the same, like, because the original design always that when he got enraged, he would lose his hand size but gain some
I
attack,
can just pull it
but
up.
also not be able to thwart at all. Yeah, I guess we could just look at it. He changed a bit over time, but
Yeah.
yeah, here's the 2 forms. So right now, he builds up that anger or whatever, the rage, and then when you're restrained, which is where you start, you can remove rage counters with mental. But if you don't do that, eventually he'll get
Hmm.
too enraged and then he gets savage. But then to try to get rid of those resources, you have to use them as, or get rid of those counters, you have to use them as resources, which kind of works, but it makes it take a bit of time to like calm down. And like basically you just can't thwart, right? So I want, yeah, and like some of his effects are slightly different. Like this, he has no official thwart cards in his deck. Was part of his design,
Oh,
but yeah, like he has
okay.
these cool strong powers, but I want them to be kind of like this slash smash thing, where depending on whether or not he's restrained or savage, it has different effects. I think, you know what I mean, kind of like Vision, but again, make it easier to flip back and forth from forms. I think I'm going to make this free form, and then that's going to have to, I'm going to have to rebalance everything as a result of that. But
Mm.
yeah, he plays okay. He just feels a little janky at times, and not, the theme didn't come through the way I wanted it to. So yeah, he's getting reworked. Other than that, though, the rest of the turtles are all in a really good place, I think.
Yeah.
Metalhead, I don't have a ton of feedback on, but he also is an android, so he's kind of his own thing. Mondo Gecko just recently got his facelift, and he's a lot of fun under his new version, but
Yeah,
he
and
definitely
then
plays weird.
you said Leatherhead's getting overhauled, right?
Leatherhead needs to get overhauled a bit too. Yeah, I need to take some time, but it's the same sort of issue. Basically, all 3 of these characters, I had mechanics that kind of took away the agency of the player in an attempt to like design them a certain way. Like this one being like, oh, he's going to try to switch forms if he gets too angry by taking damage, and make that into a meta game. But really, it takes away the agency and makes them less fun to play. Like
Mm.
Mondo, what he did was he has 3 forms, but he worked like Nebula, where it was a forced response every time something went, that it would force them to trigger. I changed all of that though, because it made it so that you like felt too forced to stay in a certain form until you were ready to flip to the other one, but then you'd have really bad turns. And yeah, he's a 3 form, so he's got that, that, and that. 1, 2, 3.
Ah.
And he gets rad counters
Mm.
from his skateboard, and you can pay resources to ready your skateboard and do it again. But his rad counters, they affect his stats, but they also affect things like an ability. This one, he can get rid of a rad counter to draw a card. This one, he can get rid of a rad counter to ready himself. But he doesn't have any extra cards that, like, he has 2 cards in his deck that allow him to flip. So he's not getting a ton of extra flips. A lot of time you have to choose one or the other, and it can be tricky when you have no stats in your other columns, right? But yeah, he kind of has this whole fun mechanic built around that. And then most of his cards in his deck are, well, a chunk of them are like this. So they are kind of like the Nebula or Black Widow concept, but
Mm.
no longer forced. Now it's, when you play it, it does something nice, and then at your choice, you can use it to do something really good for him. So
Almost like a Shuri, except
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
a
sure, he
response, it's an
scraps
action.
hers as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I so someone said in your channel, like asking why this is a token, and
yeah.
I guess it works a little better, I think. as a token.
Well,
So like,
if there's a flipping one, I don't know of it.
because on
Like,
like the other option, I'll show you right now. The other option is like,
did they make a 3-form one for like Angel and stuff on
yes,
Hitch's table?
yeah. So if you
Is there
do
anything weird when I go to try to put the skin on it? I've just never used it.
it, I think your tokens actually work better. So I'll show you right now. If you select like 3 different cards, you right click one, and
Yeah.
then you do, where is it, create states. So this is what they have for like Angel and Ant-Man and Wasp. But the problem with it is you try to like press a number on it, it doesn't change states.
Yeah.
It draws into your hand. So your
Oh,
tokens,
that's where it went. Where did it
yeah,
go? Yeah, there. It's over here falling into my
yeah.
hand for infinity.
Your token version is actually better than what the other one is, because you can use the key shortcut on the keyboard. Normally you would just have to like right click and change the state.
Yeah. This is the one that Hacks used for his
Mm-hmm. Is it
3-form
okay? So
ones, and I just did it.
it's three. It's 2 hero forms and 1 alter ego. Is that it?
That's right.
Okay, so you don't really flip it, right? You just change the states though, and that's it, right?
Well, you can. So the way I set them up,
Mm,
you can flip them, and there's 2 different ones in each form, but you can also just press the number and cycle through.
I see. Okay.
I figured out the
Mm,
whatever
yeah.
the way you had to organize that to do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, at any rate, like this is more the design space that I'm going to be going with Slash and Leatherhead is less forced responses and more like they get to decide and how they're going to interact with them. That's all. Letting you set up for big fun turns and making hard decisions. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I worked on Mondo for the last like week and a half, fixing them up and
Yeah.
redesigning them.
Alopex is a hero I'm looking
Oh,
to give a
I
try.
oh, she's so much fun. I have so much
Right?
fun with that
She has
character.
like
Yeah,
a attachment, right? An
she's
upgrade.
there you go. There's your prey.
It's like a targeting.
And then she also uses her commas or her 2 weapons. And all of her cards are mental resources.
Oh, all of them.
So speaking of assess the situation, that's a
Mm-hmm.
very good card for her. Yeah. No, I have in each of all of these guys, there is one of each that has all of one resource. So Mondo is all energy.
Mm,
Um, Alpex is all mental. Raph is all physical.
that makes sense.
And Venus is all wild.
Ooh, Domino.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like a design choice that I made early on. And with Alopex, I just felt it was somewhat thematic. And then her her ability to ready using a mental resource after she defeats something, but also the basic ability of these commas is just like the bow actually that you were looking at,
Mm-hmm.
except they count as attack and thwart.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she can just ping stuff and then she puts the prey on whatever she pings, and then yeah, she can just go ham. And then there's cards like this one. If you play it and pay 2 mental, then that's 5 damage. Plus, if you already pinged the thing, then it has prey on it, which means 6 damage. So, like she can thwart like crazy, and she can
You know what's funny?
attack like crazy.
You know what's funny? I've been playing so much Wonder Man and Hercules lately. This card is literally in Hercules. I'm sorry, Wonder Man's deck. This one right here.
Are you kidding me?
I
Well,
think
Wonder Man,
I
I
think
did
it's
it
one
first.
cost. I think it's one cost though.
I
It's
did it
one
first a
cost, and
long time ago.
then you, instead of mental, it's an energy. That's funny.
I, I I just nerfed this actually. It used to be spend up to 2 mental resources to do 3 additional damage to that enemy each, but it scaled too high. There was times when I would play solo with her and I could like play a pounce onto a target that already has gotten hit, so it's like 6, 7, 8, yeah, 8 damage in one hit for like a 2 cost effectively.
Yeah.
A little was a little too much. Well, where it is now, I think is just right. This is my favorite dad joke in her set.
Bold strategy?
Yeah, bold strategy. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
You never watched a movie called Dodgeball?
I don't think I have.
Oh,
You,
that's painful.
you gotta
So
understand, I'm
it's
a lot younger than you.
yeah, no, I know you're younger than me, but
Hmm.
Dodgeball, that's why it's a dad joke. So in the early 2000s or something like that, there was a movie Dodgeball
Hmm.
where they have a ref guy and he says bold strategy cotton. Let's see if it plays out for them. And that's what the rest of the quote is down here. But
Uh-huh.
the other dad joke, you should know this dad joke.
Uh-huh.
Do you catch the dad joke for the quote here with Alopex? What she says?
It pays off. Is that the pays off
No,
part?
right here. No, right here.
Wait, what?
What did I say?
What did I say?
Do you get that? Do you get the dad joke here?
Oh, Fox. What the Fox says?
Ah,
Yeah. Nice.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty cheesy, but I couldn't help myself.
I think we should end it here, maybe?
Yeah, well, you end it wherever. I didn't
Yeah.
know you're still doing video here.
Yeah, I'm still recording. Okay.
Yeah, for sure, man. Cut out all the dead stuff then.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining me here.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It was my pleasure to yak about my own cards.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff, and I'm excited for your 5 or 6 scenarios that you're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah.
Then
Well, the
like
next
a
one I think is
campaign.
yeah, I've got I think I know which one I'm doing next. But yeah, it's so many different ones. I've got them planned out and I've got the core mechanics like cuz my big thing is I don't want to just make characters like I want them to each have their own
Hmm.
unique feel to them and I think I figured it out for all of them, which was the trickiest part. There's two that I'm like a little iffy on, so they'll just be later on. But I should have another one. Maybe by the end of the week I might be looking to release it, but I still have tweaks to do on some of this stuff. And as I said, I was revisiting Slash and a few other things. So but yeah, keep making the sweet videos, man. And we definitely should hook up for another game one of these days
Yeah.
coming up. Because it was easy enough if I hadn't been rambling on for the last hour and something, like,
No,
we did the
that's
whole
okay.
game in, like, an hour and a half.
It's all good. But okay, yeah, I'm gonna end it here then.
Yeah, you have a good night, man. I'll catch up with you another time.